d'abord, je voudrais préciser que je parle sans contrainte et de mon plein gré. Ils ne me font pas de mal, je ne subis aucune violence, ils me traitent bien. Ils me laissent aller au bureau tous les jours et j'ai le droit de prendre l'ascenseur. Je peux participer à des réunions internationales et manger au self le midi ou alors déjeuner à l'extérieur. Je dispose de réductions variées par l'intermédiaire du CE ainsi que d'une carte orange 3 zones. Ils me donnent un chèque à la fin du mois pour aller dans les magasins afin d'acquérir des biens de consommation avec. Ils me traitent bien, je ne subis aucune violence, ils ne me font pas de mal.
Hi, I'm Sydney, and this is my Tech 9.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm today with Paul Wagener, and in the chat we have already you're almost 100. Julien, Tim, Jean, Ro, Jocelyn, Kevin, Oui, Charles, Vince, Jean-Christophe, Janice, Populus, Alex, Cedric, Freddy, etc. Thank you, brothers, to be here. So today is a special day. I think it's the very first time we got an American guest. So hi, Paul. Welcome. You're the first one.
All right, it's nice to be the first one. I'll try to represent America well.
Great, I think you will. Some of us are familiar with the Aesthetic podcast. I was listening, sharing it, and some guys already knew it and had, let's say, a very positive view on it. But let's be honest, most of my guys have no idea of who you are. And today, I will ask you a list of questions to understand first who you are, what is your community, what's your situation right now with the community? What are the perspectives? What are the projects?
That sounds good.
I will ask first to the chat, is everything right? Do you hear me well? Do you hear Paul well? Is the picture fine? Tell me, guys, I will read in the chat. So there's always a delay with the chat, but for now, everyone is saying hello to Paul. So a lot of guys will say hello to you. Okay, sound is good. Picture is good. Here we go. So, Paul, who are you?
That's a broad question. I've been a lot of different things: writer, entrepreneur, weightlifter, fighter, jiu-jitsu practitioner, and coach. But mostly, I think I'm a community builder. I'm somebody who, since I was young, has been interested in the idea of intentional communities from when I was young, and was in street gangs in the Midwest to when I was older and wanted to create something that had more of a positive purpose and more of a function based on something that you and I have talked about, something based on love and forward progress and on upward pressure and making everyone better around you and the rest of this kind of stuff and creating a real culture, which is what our focus is now.
Yeah, so right now, let's say your main focus in life is to be a community builder. You didn't say a community leader, you said a community builder, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's in our community, there's more than one person, I think, in a leadership role, depending on who's there. Natural hierarchies form in our organization based on time in, how long you've been with the group, but also value. I don't know the saying in French, but I know there is a French saying that says, he who does more is worth more. And we believe that whoever puts in the most into the community is likely to have more honor and respect within the community and likely to be seen as someone who gets things done. myself and my brother Matthias and two other brothers founded the organization. So certainly we have helped lead the organization and are still at its head as people who foster a lot of the growth within that community. But we have multiple chapters, multiple different, I don't know the word that you would use for it, but multiple different structured groups in both the East Coast of America and the Midwest of America. So we have leadership out there as well. Certainly, I am one of the leaders of the community.
I see, I see. And same, being a leader of a community, I feel myself more as a builder of community. That's the daily job. I don't spend my days front of my guys telling them we go here, we go there. Everyone is self-aware and independent, and they do their life mostly. There's no full service to the community 24 hours a day. No, they have their lives, they have the job, and mine, and the job of the small circle around me that help me managing the community is to build it, is to organize the small groups inside the big group, to create the opportunities, to decide how do we interact with the outer world. Yeah, we're building.
I think that's an important distinction between the two. I believe that there's a great many people, and you can see this in a lot of different organizations, but certainly ones I think that are more like ours, is that a lot of people build them in order to lead them because they're mostly interested in building something around themselves that they can control, that they can use as an ego project. It's another reason why most of these organizations fail. Either because the individual who's in charge of it is a toxic personality, or because the entire organization or structure is a cult of personality and it can't exist without that one individual. So it's always very important, even if one person starts something, he has to have people he can trust and lieutenants he can trust in the group, because if the plane goes down and he goes down with the plane, then the entire community is gone in an instant. So it's important to build other leaders in your community and be a builder of leaders as well as just a builder of the community, you know?
Yeah, what you say feels good. You know, I feel even a release in the chest. My main goal right now is to make my community independent from me. It's a new community, you know, we exist just for 1 year and a half, but I'm a public person for longer, and now I want the community to exist without me. I will be still here, but I would like that if I disappear, I get arrested, whatever happened to me, I want it to keep going. And also, it takes a lot of energy and focus. I need to free myself from it to have the vision. To be a good leader, I cannot keep building all the time. And you, from what I understand, are building your community for longer than I do. Like, how old is your community?
The Wolves has been around for just about coming up a few months from celebrating our 15-year anniversary. So
wow, 15 years.
Yeah, so I'll be 37 this year. So it's been around since I was 21, 22, very young. And a lot of the ways we do things are different now because we have a little more age and experience. But there are guys still with the organization that came in when they were 17, who now have been in the organization almost half of their life, who are in their 30s now. So yeah, we've been at it for quite a while, and it's been like you say, an ordeal. It's taken a lot of energy and it's taken a lot of focus, and there's been a lot of heartbreak. You know, we've even had members die. And there's been a lot of joy and sadness and excellence and awful along the way. But anything I think of value will have those things, you know?
Yeah, I see. And I make the huge distinction between having a YouTube audience and having a community. You know, nowadays, influencers on YouTube, they call their audience community. And of course, it's a huge bullshit and it has nothing to do with the community. They are just passive audience watching the content as they would watch Netflix. So this influencer, they will not even spend an evening with an audience. They will feel terrible. And we live in a different way. We live with our brother. Like we live with the guys and we walk with the guys and we call the guy every day. Like these are all people. We almost don't talk to other people. I don't know for you, but
yeah, for us it's similar. You know, we do have a lot of good associates who are by nature of either distance or the fact that maybe they have their own thing going on that's similar to ours. that are not in our organization, but almost exclusively the people that I spend my time with and speak to every day are people within the Wolves. And I think what you said there is very important because both of us, I think, are trying to lead a genuine community, but also we both understand marketing. And we understand that a lot of people out there are marketing this idea of tribe or community or whatever, but all they mean is my email list. And it's not the fucking same, and it's a bullshit hustle. And like, there's a big difference between marketing and marketing terminologies and, you know, business and an actual community of people close to you. A lot of people, I think, they don't separate this because they're like chronic entrepreneurs. They're only interested in building things to make themselves money. Money is good. It's good to make money. I think we agree on this, but
We do.
there has to be a genuine expression within your life. Otherwise, what are you making the money for? It becomes a very soulless pursuit to have money as your highest ideal. Instead, having community as your highest ideal to funnel the money into.
But there is a trouble, I think, that few community leaders experience is that it becomes their main job. Not only it brings them authority, but it brings them incomes, and that's the main source of incomes. So they will make some ethical compromise in order to make this income even bigger, even if it doesn't follow the good of the community. And I try to fix this thing because I struggle with it also. Like, my community is a source of income. I'm very clear with them, they know about it, but I'm developing on the side, for example, web technologies or crypto technologies or some different kind of products that do not target the community, and I invite them to be affiliates in order to sell my product, and I sell their product. So
Yeah.
we find a way to have an economy that is not just selling stuff to each other, basically. We try to not, like, of course we have intern economy, but
Yes.
it have to be a bonus,
Yes. And
a
the
help.
best way, yeah, the best way to do this is what you're talking about, to have the community set up and structured in such a way that there's enough skill there and there's enough talent there and there's enough ability to network within that you're constantly, when someone joins our community, they will usually wind up making a great deal more money when they join the community because of how many people we know. But the ideal for us is always all money in, no money out. It's to take
Yeah,
money from the outside and to bring it to the inside, you know, which is important.
always.
Hmm.
Yeah. About business, before to do it with community, this all money in, no money out, I was doing with my website. I had 10, 15 websites. I was working in porn industry, and same, all my websites were targeting traffic, and all the traffic was redirected to my other websites, never outside. I was not the affiliate of anyone. I was just
Yeah.
the affiliate of myself, and so that was already my logic, and then I applied that to the community. The energy comes in. And also, when we need a talent, we are looking inside. When we
Yes.
need a job, or I asked you not long time ago for a copywriter because we didn't had English copywriter as you do. It would be always my first choice. And we had a list of guys that we found on Facebook who are copywriters, even some good ones. And I was like, first I will try your guy.
That's it. I always will ask within the network. I always try to spend my money first with the people that I know immediately. And then if not them, the ones that have associated with me or who have supported my projects. So in other words, I've used in my former project, Operation Werewolf, I would always put out to the community, hey, who does video design? Who does this? Who does this? Who
Sure.
does this? Because they've spent money with me. I don't mind spending money with them. It's reciprocal.
Yeah, I'd like to give a more clear picture to my guys about how you look like, how you guys look like. On the, let's say, first impression, you look like a bunch of big guys with muscles, tattoos, bikes, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the aesthetic for sure.
Yeah, so you can tell me more about the spirit, but I don't know, details, just to create a picture of your guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty accurate. You know, we came out of, when we were young, you know, we didn't come out of the biker scene because we were, most of us, too young when we started. We were, you know, teens and early 20s, and we didn't have any money. Everybody back then had long hair down to their waists. You know, I don't think any of the guys didn't have long hair because most of us came out of black metal.
Okay.
And so, you know, we had met and formed, originally the group at its inception was effectively a pro culture drinking club in a way, where we would get together the first Saturday of each month. We would have beer, we would listen to black metal music and, share bands and ideas. But then we would also sometimes, maybe someone would read a portion of, heroic poetry, or we would have what's called a symbol, where men stand in a circle and over a drink, you toast or raise a drink to an ancestor or a personal hero or to another individual in the circle. It's basically an opportunity for you to speak your heart within the community. And so things started in this way. This is an old Germanic ritual. And so, we had started doing this, and it grew organically from there. And so, yeah, as guys got older, a lot of the focus, even at the beginning, was on fighting. A lot of us had come out of sort of street fighting and street gang culture. And so fighting was always a big part of what we did. Lifting weights became a big part of what we did, because we started to create organic rules and codes of conduct started to happen, where now, in the crew now, if you're prospecting for our group, you have to lift weights, you have to train a martial art, whether that's boxing or jiu-jitsu or something. You have to understand, our group is very focused on the idea of the balance between the Apollonian and the Dionysian. So in other words, a life lived by a regimented set of very strict rules and codes of conduct, punctuated by moments of ecstasy and ritual, and purposeful intoxication, I would say. And that this way of living for us is sort of a rhythm within the community. And so, yeah, you'll see a lot of our guys from their backgrounds, lots of tattoos. A lot of the guys love motorcycles. But there still is, even with that, a variance. There are guys in the organization who don't have a single tattoo, who are more likely to be in Hugo Boss than black metal stuff, and so the longer our group has existed, the more value and the more function and the more use we've found in different kinds of people. The old saying, you can't have a village full of blacksmiths. It doesn't work out very well. So you have to have some diversity within your group of different kinds of people. But while maintaining the core ideals of the group, which for us is based for the men on power. So the aesthetic there is a power aesthetic. It's to be strong and visibly strong, to be trained and to be prepared for combat and so on and so forth. And for the women who are in the community by nature of their men, in other words, the wives, the old ladies, their aesthetic is beauty. So for a woman, we believe the highest ideal is to create beauty, and to create beauty around herself, and also to create family, and to have children. So for us, our community is very old school, the way the men and the women interact. We are not like moral purists or Puritans or anything like that, but the way our group exists with the males and the females is very, I think, seen as very old school when people come around. It's not common for male guests to talk to the females within the group. They kind of hang out in their own group and have their own little sisterhood. And so it's kind of hard to define the group in a few sentences, but people who have seen photographs and stuff like that can kind of see what the general vibe is, for sure.
My feeling when I saw your group, I saw the picture, I listened your podcast, I listened how you talk with your bro on video. So I saw that on YouTube, you talk with your brother. My feeling was, they're kind of the same, they listen different music, but the vibe is very similar. The way the group is organized around men. And then the men, they find resources, and women are part of the resources, and then we provide for them and we build family. So all of that, to me, it's very easy to understand. For my guys, it's very easy to understand. They will be like, just like us, but they have different appearance because we don't have tattoo, and they listen different kind of music. Still, I will have guy who listen black metal. It's not so much about music, crew.
Yeah. For us, we listen to all kinds. Yeah.
Yeah. And there is something too that is surprising. When we see a bunch of muscle guy with tattoo, motorbike, whatever, we don't expect so much focus on positivity and love, but you do. In your speech, you constantly speak about relentless love. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Relentless positivity, yeah.
Yeah. And love, like you speak about love and you express it, by the way you talk. It's all about love. From what I heard, let's say I listen 10 of your video, few of your podcasts, and I will say everyone has a definition of love. But concerning my definition, the way you talk, to me clear. It's about love. So at the end, I don't know you in real life, so I don't know the connection between your words and the real you. But I have a feeling that the both are harmonized. I hope so. I really hope so. But what I hear is about love.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. I think what you said at the end there, very important. For me, I meet a lot of people, and so even just this weekend, I'm pretty beat up and tired this morning. I've been training jujitsu for like 3 hours a day for the last week.
Wow.
We have 4 black belts in town right now, so I'm trying to take as much advantage of their knowledge as possible. And so, because we host lots of events here, and I host lots of events, one of the things that's very important to me is that people who have heard my work, have seen my work, when they meet me in person, that it's four square, it's correct, and that there's no differentiation. I like to laugh a lot. I'm pretty open about who I am and how I am, my shortcomings and failings, even in my public, like forward facing life, because I want an honesty there that when people meet me, they're not surprised. I can tell people that I am exactly as I present myself when you meet me, for better or worse. And that because we do a lot of events, people come down here and they get on the mats with me and they roll with me. I'm not hiding anything. So I'll train combat with them. I'll train weightlifting with them. And I definitely feel like it's very important to present to the world who you are, because especially in this day and age of social media, I think that people's personas get out in front of them, almost like an unruly dog on a chain. It's like there's this pit bull way out in front of them that's their ego or their social media personality. And then you meet them in person and it's not the dog, it's the holder. And they are much less impressive than the dog oftentimes. But, to say what you said about the community and being based on love and positivity, I've been in other types of communities that were not, that were based mostly on violence or brutality, or really, really rigid types of structures that were based around individualities and personalities. And these groups always fall apart because they have a negative reason for existing, which is we are against these people, or we hate these people, or this stuff. Those groups don't last. And that eventually that feeling turns in on itself and it destroys itself. So you must always have an organization and a reason to exist. Raison d'être, I think, is
Yeah.
that it has to be based on love and positivity, because these are the things that will take a man upward and connect him to something higher than himself, where hatred, negativity, all these things will just turn in and destroy. And I've seen it many times.
Sure, it's very self-destructive to be focused on something else than love. The reason why we choose love, like the name of the community is Domination by Love.
Yeah.
It's because we do believe that this form of domination, and domination by love can be education, for example, or can be do anything to care, or to give happiness, safety, whatever good to the people you love. And we think that that's the strongest form of domination. We don't say the highest. No, we just say that at the end, the one who use domination by love on the long-term view wins. That's it. It's strategic. It's about to win. We're here to win. And I saw all the other form of domination and manipulation. Let's say it's my specialty. I'm very good about manipulation. And the rest is short-term view. You can win, sure. You can fuck a lot of people, but people, they feel it. Even if they don't understand it, they feel it. And they get out of the relation, or they conflict. And then it's very expensive. You just like have a lot of enemies, no more partners. It just doesn't work.
It's an ugly way to live, even aesthetically. Like Dostoevsky said, beauty can save the world. And I think there's nothing more beautiful than love and loyalty. Love expressed correctly, love under will, as Aleister Crowley would say. It's not just love, it's love under will. It's a purposeful kind of love. It's love understood as an act of the will, not as an emotion or a feeling, but as a lifestyle, a way of living, and the understanding that if you have an organization whose honor is defined by loyalty, as it's been said by another organization in the past, that will lead to true beauty. And that's the kind of beauty, I think, that can save the world.
Interesting. At home we say, in our community we say love is not enough. It's needed. It's a base, absolutely needed, but it's not enough. Consciousness is needed, and the will is needed, as you say.
Action, all those things that lead to positive action,
something else. You say you didn't say it like this, but your community is around men, right?
Yeah.
The women they are bring by men.
Yes. You know, this is something that if I'm speaking probably almost exclusively to men in your chat right now,
Only there's no woman here.
one of the mistakes that people make in their organizations is and this will sound not to your guys like anything crazy, but if you say this somewhere, people lose their fucking mind, which is
I know.
women should not run an organization because that's not the way nature works. Women can run organizations for women, that's no problem. But if you give women a equal voice, equal vote, whatever it is in an organization, you lose the anchor. Men exist to be anchors to women. They have to earn that. You know, you always talk to these younger guys like trying to figure out why they can't find a good woman. And it's like, well, because you're a fucking pussy and because you don't have any money and because you can't even pay your own rent and because you look like your neck is this thin. You know, it's obvious why. But once you earn that, to be emotionally intelligent, to be resourceful, to be strong, to be powerful, you will earn a woman and you will anchor her and she will exist to uphold you and to support you and you will exist to take care of her and protect her and whatever else. That's the natural way. Anyone who doesn't understand that, you've kind of already lost them. So yes, our organization will always be based around men who lead the organization and women who uphold the organization.
Okay, it's the exact same thing in our place. And I don't know, I think this is how it works for a very long time. It's just very recent that the modern world offers some new solution, some mixed solution. Like I don't believe in mixity. I don't think it's efficient for army, for school, for organization as well. It's just not efficient. It's a way of failure.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the insanity of the modern world, is that you can take something that anyone with half a brain can look at and say, of course this is correct. But you can't say it. You can't say it. And so people like us obviously don't give a fuck about that. We don't care what people think is PC or is whatever. And so we live our lives in a way that is in accordance with what we understand to be natural law. Things that are obvious, things that are apparent. Men should seek strength, men should seek power, men should seek leverage, and they should be men. They should be masculine. Women should seek beauty. Women should be beautiful. Women should raise children. Women should uphold men. Women should be this and that. And this is the way that the world has always been in its healthy expression. And it's only in these, like you said in your main video, it's fucking freaks who think these other ways. And then we are expected to take these people who like wear their mental disorders as badges of honor, and we should have to agree with or acknowledge what they say as anything other than total nonsense. And so, you know, women, I think a lot of guys take this too far, and I've done a video about this, but a lot of guys nowadays hate women. They hate women because of what women have largely become, because of what women have been turned into by society, because women are like the earth. In mythology, they've always been compared to the earth. And they will grow what is planted in them, literally and figuratively. And because of this, they are malleable. And society has molded them into this thing that they were never meant to be, which is, I want to be a strong, empowered woman who don't need no man. And they're trying to compete with men. They're trying to act like men in many cases. And they're being told all this garbage when actually what almost all of them still want is a powerful man who will effectively, in a kind and supportive way, tell them what to do, and support them. And they want to love and cherish him and uphold him. And they want to have his children. That's the highest ideal for all women. And it's what most of them still want, no matter what social conditioning has told them. You can't undo millions of years of evolution with a few hundred years of social evolution. It doesn't work.
You can undo that maybe in the future with chemistry or electronic. We are working on it. It's called transhumanism. So it would mean to change deeply the genetic program of the body. Why not? Why not? You know, maybe after 50 years, we will put a chipset in the brain or in the spine of humans, and they will stop to crave for dopamine, or they will stop to have the, I don't know, intuition, instinct, and all these programs. But for now, the only way to the only way to go against the program right now would be discipline, and they pretend to go against their natural program, not with discipline, but with I don't know. I don't even know trends. Like,
Yeah.
what is the motivation? And it's
It's
not enough.
social capital. They do everything for the motivation of social capital, virtue signaling.
Yeah,
And this is one of the reasons why groups like ours, I believe, are so important, is because you take a normal guy, right? Uh, just like anyone you or I know, but someone who's not existing in our community now, who's out there in the world, but they think like us, and they're alone because they feel alone, because they feel afraid to express themselves, because they can lose their job, they'll lose all their friends, their girlfriend might leave them, and so they become these little weird shells of men because they don't have a group to be a part of
yeah.
that says, no, 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 you don't need your social capital from outside. I only give a fuck about the respect of people I love. So because I don't care about anything out there, the best thing that guys like you do and guys like I do is provide people a place to have positive social capital that matters, so that people go, oh, I'm not alone. I can be part of this group. And so if I get doxxed and censored and, whatever out here in this crazy fucked up world full of freaks and crazy people, that's okay, because this is where my social capital comes from. Done. You know?
Yeah, we feel the exact same way, and it's quite rare to meet people who live like this, who build it, and who are outside of the community. So it's kind of emotional for us to meet a guy like you who represent a community like yours. It gives us as a community, not as individual, but as an emotional community. It gives us the feeling too as we're not alone.
Yes.
Usually this feeling come from Eastern Europe. We are very focused on Eastern Europe. This is where we feel that we can find brothers, and they don't really behave in communities. They're just population from Russia, Estonia, Georgia, Bulgaria, whatever. And the way they live is very close to the way we want to live. So it makes it very easy. But because they all live like this for a very long time and they're just like a full country, they don't have the feeling as we are to be the survivor inside a fucked up country that lost his soul. So
Yeah.
it's different feelings. They're just like, it's normal. And we're like, no, we're so happy to be with you, brothers. And they're like, yeah, it's cool. But
They don't understand how bad it is, so they don't know how good they have it.
they don't get it at all. We try, we are sharing the message. We show them
Yeah.
video. We explain them what happened. And somehow they get it because they already experienced communism. And this is exactly what's going on in Europe and America. It's communism.
Yeah.
It's back. It has a
Yeah.
different name, but it's back. But they don't know what is multiculturalism. Like in America, you always was multicultural country, but in Europe, no, it's a new thing. And this last 20 years, it have increased in a spectacular way. It became crazy. In Paris, you go in the metro, you don't see white people. The population have been replaced. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And the consequence, the atmosphere on the street, it's huge. The criminality, it's huge. And with the communist effect, all these migrants, they get money for free to not work and to have criminal activity. So it creates something even worse than what we knew with communism, because at least in Russia and these Eastern Europe countries, communism was nationalist. Here it's not nationalist.
Yeah.
It's like the local people are working to pay money for invaders. It's a stuff we never saw.
It's the same here. And I mean, that's because now, let's be honest, in 2021, yes, there are differences between countries, certainly, the history, the culture, and so on and so forth. But really, right now, what we have is a monoculture. We have a global culture. And, I probably, you walk into any airport in the world. As I'm sure you have, I've traveled all over the world, and I've been in airports in countries from here to fucking Timbuktu, and people wear the same clothes. They're listening to the same music on the same electronic shit. They're expressing the same garbage ideas and so on everywhere. And so because we have this now, this is why, the idea that you guys are presenting and what you guys are doing is very fascinating to me, which is finding these bastions of places that you can say, well, this is a stronghold, maybe not forever, but for now. And, even if it's, maybe we're 10 years out from it happening here, it's critical to find these places, I think, that one can exist. For us in America, this is basically rural areas. So smaller towns and rural places in the country. Because this weird global culture is almost in a way, at least in our country, but also I've experienced this in Germany and Italy as well. It's an urban issue. The urban centers is where this monoculture thrives and breeds. And in the country, many times people are still very sane because they don't have all this stuff in their face all the time. And even though they, of course, have Instagram and social media and the internet and all this, it's a different speed of life and it's a different social capital. You know, in New York City, you will not find a lot of dissidents. You know, maybe, and certainly they're there, but in the outside of the cities, there's a sanity that exists there, and I felt that in a lot of the countries that I've been to. And so finding these bastions of like where you can just be and live and be yourself is getting increasingly difficult. As you say, it's more policed. It's like Soviet era, you know.
Yeah, I would like to give a support to my guys. Many of them, they try to find a political explanation to globalism. They try to understand why the fuck, why do they destroy countries and stuff like this? No, 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 guys. All of you, my bros, you're doing marketing. So you understand through the world, through money, through acquisition, conversion, distribution, okay? The world is marketing, let's say that. The world is about money, let's say that. So if you understand that when we divide the customers target, you know, like a lot of different targets, it's very hard to make a good distribution because you need a different message for fucking everyone. But once everyone is just the same, everyone is just brown and eat McDonald's and listen to the same crappy music, you know, everyone is the fucking same, boom, the distributors is so powerful. It has full control on the population with one message, one strong message, and this never happened yet on the world, but this will be even stronger in terms of control than anything we could see. Nazi communism, boof, it's a piece of cat, it's nothing. A global world with one human style, for distribution is perfect. For control is perfect. We will have a full world of slave, and this is what the marketing want at the end of the game. Let's say that we are moderate marketing because at least we don't try to do that. We don't go that far.
Yeah, and you know, I agree with you completely. I think that it's a perfect analogy to understand the world, and individuals who don't grasp that idea, who think that there's a solution that's political, or you know, I put out a T-shirt from my old project. There's the back that says in big letters, "The solution is not political," because I believe the solution is mythological. The solution is to change the way of living, the way of perceiving the world, to one that has like a mythopoetic narrative. It has to be, you have to see yourself as part of a longer overarching narrative rather than as a product of the modern world. We're not products of the modern world. We're a product of every ancestor that we've ever had that has combined their DNA and their genetics into the container that it lives in now, which is us. We're part of a much longer narrative. And that narrative to me is a hopeful one because I don't have to believe in this idea of ancestral worship as some kind of drum beating, whatever. I am literally embraced. My spirit is embraced by every ancestor who has ever come before me because my flesh is made from them and they live in my blood. They are around me. They are in me. So I can say that my gods live in my blood and in my heart and in my bones. And because of this, I have a duty to live up to a higher ideal, and that higher ideal is not to eat McDonald's and listen to the same garbage music as everyone and to be essentially diluted and to become a slug, basically, to consume and only to live that. My ideals are higher than that. My ideals are mythological. I don't want to live my life that way, and so I won't.
It's funny. I never shared it with my community, but I always thought God is in the body. I don't think that I'm God, but I think that God is inside the body. And if we want to make a research to understand the cosmos or whatever, we can just like meditate and find inside evil and good, and every answers are inside.
Yeah, the old alchemical, the alchemist guys, even guys as recent as Isaac Newton, who was an alchemist, believed that. You know, their saying is where the modern New Age saying comes from was from alchemy, which was what is above is like that which is below, and what is below is like that which is above. They understood that if you can understand a cell, then you can understand man. if you can understand man, the cosmos is written by the same laws, the same fabric rules everything. So to understand God is to understand myself. And that, yes, I believe the same for you. There is no separation for me between the body and the spirit. It's one thing, and it's what I have to perceive this reality with, and so it's all contained there for me. You know.
Nice. Yeah, we perceive things in a very similar way, and my sensei also perceive it in this way. He talk about quantic learning. So sometimes he can learn stuff just like this. I don't have the skill, but I saw him, and I know the guy is the only guy I consider more energetic than I am. He has a huge level of energy and do things like this. He don't see time. He pretend also that time doesn't exist. For me, it's still, I'm still stuck in time. And I try, to spend more time with him, to talk more with him, to understand these things. So I have a perception of that, but it's still far away from me. And I try to come to this practice or to this mastering. I'm not here yet.
Yeah, it'll get there.
I try to bring my guys too. So about the chat, the feedback are good. I didn't read what they say, but we got comment as Axel, it's called Passepartout. He say best guest ever. So about you, so he likes you. Tommy, I like this guy too. So much value. Some questions we will see later, but many positive comments. One guy saying, I'm so into it. So even if we talk in English and they're French and they kind of struggle, to follow English language, but they're into it.
I have a few very, very dear friends who are from the Savoie region of France, and I love them very much, but I have not learned French, and my French is not good. So sorry for the English, but I appreciate you all bearing with me and listening to this in English.
So for the chat, after 10 minutes, I think we will go to question and answer. So you guys will be able to ask question to Paul. I will read your question and he will kindly answer, I guess. But Paul, you tell me you have friends in Savoie who told you about me. This is how you connected with me, right?
Yeah, so the individual, there was a guy from elsewhere in Europe who sent me a link to your video, your main one on your YouTube channel, the DBL one. And I watched it and I thought it was very interesting. And I thought you were really well spoken. And I thought the way that you presented your ideas was really, really good. And I also felt like it was honest, but forward thinking. And so I reached out to my friends in France and I said, hey, do you know this guy? And my friend said, I think the name is familiar. And then he goes, aha, he's in porn over here in France. So he knew the name, but then he started watching your stuff and he said, fuck, now I've watched 20 of this guy's videos. And he goes, he's very convincing. And I agree with him a lot, and he says, fuck, now do I have to move to Eastern Europe? I like France, but he understands for him the same exact problems as you and the same issues with France and all the rest of this stuff. So, and has been to Ukraine, I think, several times to play music as well. So he knows the benefit of Eastern Europe.
Okay, cool. Funny things too is about reputation. So from the first feedback you had about me, it was like, beware, the guy is borderline, he's doing porn. And I got the same feedback, I think from inside my community. They told me, oh, you're going to make a live show with Paul. He has such a reputation. I was like, what you mean? What reputation? Because I already had listened your video and I was like, everything fine, like what you say makes sense to me. I could say the same thing. Maybe you say it in your way, you speak better English than me, obviously, but the meaning, I'm like, yeah, we think the same. And then the guy from my community sent me some articles of some journalists saying shit about you. And in the articles was like, fuck this journalist, I was on your side. Like these journalists were just small bitches. I could feel it by the way they write. And they were blaming you for what? For your tattoos and shit like this. I was like, what the fuck?
Journalists are parasites. I've never met one that I liked. I wish, it's like in the words of a famous person, I wish all journalists had one neck and my hands were around them. They just are useful people. It's like critics. They're just basically professional snitches. And that's how they make their money, is just to snitch.
So this shit I've read against you just make me like you more, when I faced it.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think some of the best articles that have ever been written about my group were by Antifa. We've had so many people reach out to us by nature. There was an article written about us by Rose City Antifa in Oregon, a bunch of cunts, but they wrote this article, and some of it was untrue, some of it was true, but the way that they phrased it, I said, fuck, if I read this when I was 17, I would fucking call me immediately and say, how can I join? And it's hilarious because we have had so many people reach out to us in a positive way from reading this hit piece, because they said, I see nothing wrong with this. And I know that a great deal of it is probably like hyped and made ridiculous because that's what they do. But what I heard, I liked, and I want to know more. And so our enemies, we thank them because they just help us, because anyone with discernment who reads these things goes, I can see probably what the reality is. Fuck this pussy. He's probably saying this because, you know, why do these guys hate you? They hate you because you have everything that they don't have, and everything that probably deep down inside themselves they actually want. You have beautiful women, you have money, you have muscle, you have a good community, you have something based on love, not trend, all these things that a human being would want. And so what do? They try to tear it down. But this is all they can do, is to try to tear it down. But they fail because what can they do? They can just throw mud at you, and that's all. But we don't give a shit, you know. And as far as your reputation goes, it's similar. You know, a couple of the guys that I know, my moral structure is not a normal moral structure. My moral structure is based around things that don't have anything to do with like ordinary morality. And so someone said, hey, well, this guy Jean-Marie, he does pornography.
Yeah, it's
Well,
true.
I don't, yeah, and I know, but it's like, I don't consume it. I don't watch it. I don't think, for me, it's not healthy for me, and I don't recommend it to people that they do it because I don't think it's healthy to consume. But I said, well, he makes it. There's a difference there for me. It's kind of like there is a difference between someone who is a crackhead and someone who sells crack. And so, like, it doesn't matter if I don't need you and I to agree on everything to say the guy is doing something of value. And I'm not going to tear you down for the decisions that you've made in your life because you're not me. And so why should I try to tear down what you've built? But that's what these people make their living on is, oh, well, I disagree with this one thing Jean-Marie does, so I have to now try to tear his life down. Why? That's bitch energy.
Yeah, I see. And just to let you know, yeah, I produced porn. Now I'm not so much into it just because I'm tired of it. I did it for 16 years. So at one point, it's always the same story, you know.
You can get tired of fucking.
No, not tired of fucking, but tired of the process. You know, to carry my luggage with light and to tell the girl to do this and that, to make some comedy before to be able to fuck her. I'm like, no, I fuck directly girls and that's it. But I tell my guys, porn is a fucking poison. I know because I produce it for 16 years and don't watch it. And I develop it. I explain why it destroys our nervous system, why it disconnects a part of their brain. It's wrong. It's the wrong stuff. Yeah, it's true. I do produce this poison, but I do not distribute it inside my community. In my community, there is no link for porn. There is no porn, and there is a clear vision of you know how it works. Sex. Yeah, it works with a woman. I mean, no. Even we have some. Because I'm skilled in sex, we have some form of sex training, solo sex training. It's a form of meditation. We learn how to have orgasm without ejaculation, for example. But it has nothing to do with porn. It's pretty much the opposite.
That's good. And I mean, I think for me, there's an honesty there. I'll take honesty. If someone says, yes, I make this, but I think it's poisonous,
Yeah.
fine. That's good. It's a good approach. And I, you know, like I said, at the end of the day, though, we're two guys having a conversation. You know what I mean? I know a lot of guys who like to watch football. I don't watch football for the exact same reason I don't watch porn. I don't like to watch other people doing things that I want to do. And so, because I'm not a football player, if I was a football player, I would watch football. Like, because I play it, and so I watch it to get better. Like, I watch jiu-jitsu, you know, I watch jiu-jitsu tournaments, and I watch fighting because I have a vested interest. But it's always very strange to me. You go into a bar, and there's a lot of guys in there and they're watching UFC or something. And it's almost like watching it replaces their need as a man to do it. It's like, oh, I'm into it, and so I don't have to do it. And it's like, no, you should just be training right now. Do you know how fun it is? It's fucking amazing, but it's very hard. It's much easier to watch another man do it, right? The same with fucking for a lot of these guys. Oh, well, I want to go fuck a beautiful woman, but it's easier for me to jack off to another guy fucking a beautiful woman. It's not a good state of mind.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. Fully agree. And to be even more honest, the reason I did porn is just as an exhibitionist to show my dick on internet. And instead of a dick pic, I was like, you know what? My 100 million people will see my dick. That's it. It's very basic. It's very low. Yeah, but this is as it is. And now I'm just tired of this shit. And I want to make a family and to do better things. Simply, it's okay. Let's keep speaking about reputation. I saw that in your video on YouTube, you don't make the comment available. So people, I was frustrated. I could not comment. Why? Like you, so much shit. Too
Some
much
of them,
haters?
some of them were, and I think a lot of it is I stopped using YouTube very much because my shit was fucking, they shadow ban you or block your shit or turn your
Yeah.
algorithm. And so what would happen is I wouldn't look at it for a really long time, and then you'd look at your notifications, and Antifa guys would just go on a rampage and there'd be 8 million things there, whatever. And so I was like, fuck this. These are old videos anyway. Almost all of them were old. And so I just cut it off and was like, these can live up here and people can check them out. And if they're still actively following what I do, it's very easy to get in touch with me. You know what I mean? And it's very easy to send me a message or something if you have a comment or want to discuss. Or you come follow me here on Telegram where people can talk to each other in comments and everything like that, where my shit is still active. And so a lot of it was just a general frustration with YouTube, social media, and everything like this, because every month or so, you get these little basement dwelling fucking purple haired cripples or whatever, and they make their little type campaigns against you. So it's exhausting.
I think it's a mistake. Yeah, you should have guys to care about moderation. If you care about YouTube, but from what I understand, you don't really. So fuck it.
YouTube is a dead end. I'm sure
Yeah.
my shit will be up there forever. I'm sure though. I'm fucking amazed because I'm banned from everything else. I'm really surprised that it even still exists, but it's frozen. So it said 13.2 thousand subscribers for like the last 2 years. It won't move. Like the number won't move, and it was the same with like Instagram. You'd have like 15,000 followers, but then it wouldn't move, and then it would drop 2,000, and then it would go up, and then you'd get banned. So I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, it's caused by shadow banning and this kind of shit. So we need to find other ways.
You have your email lists anyway, and if people want to be in touch with me, it's very easy for them to be in touch with me on Telegram for now and through email. Shit you can control, kind of. But I was banned from two of my email services as well, Mailchimp and another one. So I don't
Yeah.
recommend relying on those either.
You need to have your own. Like I'm self-hosted for my email list. I'm self-hosted for my videos, for everything. No choice. No choice.
Smart.
Let's go for the question and answer. I will take a question in the chat. First question is from Antoine, and for the other one, please in the chat write @domination_by_love, so I will see your question. It will be easier for me to read. Antoine is asking, hi Paul, a little question, do you ride motocross?
Antoine, no, I never rode motocross, but if you mean do I ride like dirt bikes, dual sports and stuff on dirt trails, I do. I'm not excellent at it, I won't lie. I've laid them down, like crashed them a few times, but I really enjoy it when I get the chance to ride off-road and dirt trails and stuff. And actually this year I'm doing a 1,200-mile trail that's mostly off-road, dirt, track and stuff like that. So that'll be different for me. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, and what do you ride usually?
Harley Davidson.
Okay, cool.
A 2020 Road Glide, like a brand new one, a huge fucking tank. I have a chopper, an old chopper, 70s one. I've got a Dyna, but yeah, all Harley Davidsons. I'm like anybody, I'm affected by good marketing and good branding. And so, I rode all kinds of bikes for a long time, had fun on every different kind of make and model of motorcycle. And then once I got a Harley Davidson, I was like, oh, fuck, I can never go back.
Oh, yeah. So tell us, how does it feel to be on Harley Davidson? What's the difference? What does it make?
So I think a lot of it for me was just because I was so immersed and into bike culture and motorcycle culture as I was coming up, that you look at Harley Davidson in America especially, but I think all over the world, it's so entwined with the like myth of motorcycle, and of bikers and one percenter culture and all the rest, that you look at it as the pinnacle. So it's like the Savile Row of motorcycles, you know what I mean? And so for me, all these other bikes were cheap. They were more inexpensive, and you slowly trade up. And for me, it was a long process because back then I was very broke. And so it was when I got my first Harley Davidson, it was a really big deal to have a Harley Davidson. And then once I had it, I love them. I like the way they sound. I love where I only own, except for my Road Glide, I own older Harley Davidsons, so carbureted, not fuel injected. I find them really easy to work on because the motor is very simple. And that's in our community, guy's bike is down. It's another reason to get together. And, you got everybody, have a beer and work on the guy's motorcycle until you've all fixed it. And so there's just a texture to them that I love. And motorcycle is one of the few things that I truly love. And being on a motorcycle, especially for weeks at a time on a long trip, is one of the closest feelings to complete freedom. And it sounds cliche, but it's true. They're an amazing thing, and they're a beautiful machine for sure.
It doesn't not sound cliche to me. I have the license to drive big bikes, so I was driving until I crashed myself and almost killed myself and stop it.
That also several times.
But younger, I was way more into it, and we had the 50 square centimeter, I don't know how to say, 50 cc, the small motorbike that we could fix by ourselves and upgrade the motor to go faster. So the bike was very light, maybe, I don't know, 50.
America was souped up. It was, the engine was jacked up.
So maybe a 50 kilogram bike, and we could go to 90 kilometers, nice. I don't know how to say, but I was fully into it, and to build it with the friends, and then to ride it, and you don't have license, and you make your fuel by yourself, you mix fuel and oil, and you smell it, and you have a backpack with pieces of motor because you know that you will burn your motor on the way, all of that. And your hands are full of blood and black shit and oil.
Yeah.
So yes. I know it. I know this love. And to not sleep in the night because I don't know how to fix my motorbike.
Yes.
And thinking about what's wrong, it's the carburetor or whatever. And in the next day trying something new because I'm just young and I'm stupid and I don't know how to do. And then a friend helped me, and I love so much my friend because he teach me how to fix it.
I know this very well, yes. And we go on really long trips with the guys all the way across America and back several times. We usually do that every other year. And it's a month on a motorcycle, a really long time, wow. 8-10 miles. And so by the time you're 3 weeks into one of these trips, you've wrenched and you've burnt in the sun and you've slept outdoors all over the continent, you know what I mean? Just all over America. And the guys that are on the road with you, it's like you're closer to them than you ever will be because you see each other and spend every single day together riding and wrenching and eating and sleeping and everything. And it's a wonderful thing,
Cool. I love it. And where you sleep, you put tents or you go in some motels? Or how does it work?
Throw a sleeping bag on the fucking ground because you're so tired and you just lay down next to your bike and sleep for a while,
Cool. Okay, I will go for other questions. Cires, did Paul's community is still in America or in Eastern Europe?
No, U.S. only for us. I think for the same reason as you, it's too difficult to know people as closely as we feel like we need to know them if they're in another country. So we only are in America, and we are, as we just talked about with motorcycles, our culture in the Wolves is a travel culture, a road dog culture. So we travel to see each other. Virginia, here where I am, to Colorado, where our brothers are out there, is maybe 1,400 or 1,500 miles. So a 26-hour drive about in a car. And when I was broke and didn't have money to fly, I drove it all the fucking time, 26 hours one way. So 52 hours in a car both ways to maybe only see the guys for a day or 2 days. So we traveled often. And so to do this outside of the country would be difficult. We see each other, even though we live that far apart, we see each other all the time. I've seen the guys out there this month already 2 or 3 times. So we travel all the time, but I don't think I could do this if we had a chapter in Europe. It would be much more difficult.
It will be different. You will need to change your lifestyle. It will be a different thing.
Yeah.
I see. I will go for the next question. Charlie is asking, which martial arts do you recommend the most for street fight?
People always want to ask, which one should I train, striking or grappling? But it's not an either or. It's the answer is yes, both. But I think that nowadays we are lucky enough to have seen the mixed martial arts culture become very popular. it's almost nowhere, at least in America. If a city is bigger than maybe 30,000 people, you can usually train jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai, some form of good striking. But I would tell all guys to try to choose which one maybe you will specialize in or whatever, but train the other one as well. So say if I train jiu-jitsu 3 days a week, I should train striking at least 1 day a week. That's like a minimum. So for me, I train jiu-jitsu maybe 7 times a week, 7 classes a week, and I
Wow.
instruct. Several of those are I teach. I'm only a purple belt, so I teach white belts, blue belts, whatever. But then a couple days a week, I still do striking in order to at least stay familiar, you know. But I think every man should train boxing or kickboxing and the grappling as well, whether that's wrestling or jiu-jitsu. Krav Maga and stuff like this, a lot of guys train Krav, but Krav Maga, you can't train it at 100%. So it's very difficult to know, will this work? Will this function? I don't know, because I've never actually trained it at 100%. Striking and grappling, you can train at 100%. And you can know, and you can compete in it and see how you match up. Um, I you know, I've never considered myself to be, a great fighter or anything like that, but I have been in a lot of fights in my life, a lot of fights. And I will say that having some jiu-jitsu, even if you only train it for like 2 years, is like having a gun in a street fight against people who have not trained or who don't have any grappling ability. And ditto for striking. 2 years in striking, I know, Jean-Marie, I know you trained, to have some training in striking and then go in against guys who are untrained, who are just kind of like windmilling, is like having a gun. So
Yeah, sure. Or the guy would need to be so big or to have other ability, like to be grappling.
yeah, exactly. He'll have to grab a brick,
Yeah.
and hit you with something.
Okay, another question, still from Tires. He asks, what kind of business will we make with Paul's community? And it's kind of early from this question, I think. For now, we try to know each other. It's the second real talk we had, Paul and me. So if we have no emergency. I don't know about you, Paul, but for now, my goal is to know you, is to know your guys. I will need to talk to your guys. You will probably need to talk to my guys, and it will come naturally, I guess.
Yeah, it's like we said, in our first conversation and afterwards, is that, tribal interaction, generally speaking, when you have two tribes of people, what leads to a friendly exchange down the line is often trading. They say trading tribes. You begin to trade with one another, and then sometimes friendships create from that. And I
Yeah.
think it's because you can see how people do business, if they're reliable, if they're honest. And so for us, I think the way forward in some of that would be obvious, because we have not all of our guys, certainly, a lot of our guys work construction or mechanics or whatever, but we have a lot of guys in the group who are writers, copywriters, who do graphic design, who do marketing and stuff like this. So I think those guys from each of our communities will likely have probably some value to interact. But as you said, not an emergency. We'll just see how it goes. But I think certainly we'll find a way to help each other.
Sure, I think I will talk to you in private, because I have some requests. I can tell you easily now, but then I will develop in private. Some of us, including me, want to target the American market or the international market. And for that, we need partners who are geolocalized in America. For some social network, if your localization is not America, whatever you do, you're fucked. Example, you want to make a YouTube channel targeting America. If you do it from anywhere but America, fucked. Yeah, you're fucked. So I will need some of your guys for that. And some of your guys, maybe they will want to travel to Eastern Europe just for holidays or to see how is it. We will welcome them, clearly. And I will tell you how. I will show you details, and they will spend good time.
Perfect. I definitely plan to come over to Eastern Europe probably before the end of this year. So I think we'll probably meet, at least some of your guys sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
A lot of us travel quite often for pleasure and for business as well. And I've not yet been to Eastern Europe. I've been to many countries in Western and Southern Europe, but I've not yet been to Eastern Europe. So I'd really like to go and see it. I had plans to go to Serbia last year.
Okay, we have people over there.
Yeah.
Cool. So you will feel at home. So training sessions, or meeting with the bros, and business talks, basic stuff,
Absolutely.
We don't have motorbike, but we can rent it. It won't be Harley Davidson, but still. New question, Alexander. Hi, Paul. Thanks for your presence with us. Do you feel the difference between coast states and central states in USA? You were talking about between progressivism and conservatism.
Yes, certainly, but less now than you would hope. Certainly, the coasts are heavy urban centers, and so it's kind of like what we talked about earlier. It's not even necessarily that they're coastal; it's that they're big and they're heavily populated. So over here on the East Coast, where I am, you have New England, New York, all these places. Then you have Atlanta, Richmond, all these huge cities, all the way down through Florida, and largely, yeah, these are very progressive areas. Ditto for, of course, California, which is twice as crazy as the East Coast. You can't even have a fucking pocket knife in California without getting a felony charge for it, and and the speech laws and everything like that. So in the Midwest is a little more sane because it's more rural, like we talked about. It's a little less densely populated in a lot of areas and has a reputation for being more conservative. But I think that this is something that matters less and less and less as the world becomes more monocultured and as the internet and social media and everything kind of dictates what people think. If you take in a great deal of content from the world, you're going to think in a certain way because you're going to start to be programmed to think in a certain way of what's correct. A good example of this is I grew up in Wyoming, which is right in the center of the country. It's one of the largest states in the country, and it's the least populated state in the country. Its population density is so low that the biggest city in the entire state is 50,000 people, and the next one is maybe 20,000. So it's very, very sparse. And now in Cheyenne, which is the capital, there are something like there's like an entire thing in all the schools now of like an LGBTQ thing with like transgendered clubs and all the rest of this stuff in Wyoming, which has the reputation of being one of the most fucking ass backwards cowboy states in the entire nation. But even now, this stuff is everywhere, and so nowhere is safe from it. So that's the long answer. Sorry, I kind of talked a bit there.
No.
Everywhere is going to be the same, and if they're not now, they will be soon.
Don't worry for the long answer because I didn't tell you, but there were many questions connected to the topic you just developed. So my guys were curious about it. So it's kind of still connected to the topic. Dennis is asking, what places do you advise us to visit in your country?
Well, there's a lot of beautiful places. For someone like me, cities in America don't have a great deal of interest for me. It's not the same as cities in Europe. Cities in Europe are very old. There's a lot of beautiful architecture there, where in the United States, everything is new. So there are beautiful buildings and there are interesting places in the cities. Certainly like Manhattan is something to see. It's fucking wild. But the places I recommend you go to if you come to the United States are the things that set it apart from elsewhere in the world, like the natural beauty of it. Yosemite National Park, crazy. Yellowstone National Park, the Colorado Rocky Mountains, the Appalachian Mountains where I live. These places are filled with beauty that you can't see anywhere else in the world. The American Southwest, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. It's so crazy in our country because you can go from mountains to desert to forests to like, if you go to the West Coast and you go to like Western Washington and Oregon, it looks like you're in the Lord of the Rings. It's just mist and fog and gigantic trees and mountains. So the long answer is the short answer is everywhere. Go everywhere you can in the country, but try to see the country, not the city. The cities are much the same here. If you go to Atlanta, if you go to New York, if you go wherever, it's a big city. You've seen them in Europe. They're the same here. People are shopping and milling around and so on. But the beauty of America is in the natural, the countryside, the Grand Canyon, all these incredible places that you can see when you come over here are outside.
I can say to my people that I was in America twice to work, and it was very needed. It was a very useful experience to understand that I do not want to go back to America. I do not want to live in America. I have a positive view on American men. I met some very valuable American men. I have a very negative view, sorry, about American women because my experience with them, well, not great. I guess there are some good ones, but I didn't met them.
They're very hard to find.
Hard to find, I guess, yeah. And I didn't have the connection to find them. And basically, I was in Los Angeles, Santa Monica, and then Las Vegas, and that's probably not the places to find them. I don't
My
know.
brother there right now, my brother Matthias, he's in Los Angeles because of work and all that. And I've been to LA a few times, and every time I go there, I'm always like, oh fuck, I'm in LA again. It's not my favorite place. It's beautiful. The weather is beautiful, but if I'm in California, it's not to be in LA. It's to be on the coast, to see the ocean, and to maybe ride the 101, the famous highway, North-South 101. To be on a motorcycle on the 101 at sunset is one of a few truly, truly unforgettable moments for me, like on a bike, but just to be outdoors. So I love the outdoors. I love nature. I like hiking. I like to be at the ocean. I like to be in the mountains and the forest and stuff. So the city is not very interesting to me.
I agree. I was also on the road, on the Miami road, I guess, just after Santa Monica, driving my car that I rented. And yeah, here the feeling is great. The road is amazing. The view is amazing. But the female resources was not available for a guy who doesn't worth $1 million. And I didn't worth $1 million yet. I mean, seriously, basic as that. If you don't make $1 million per year and you want a girl in LA, what the fuck are you talking about?
What did he say in Scarface? Tony Montana, he says, in this country, in America, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the woman.
Yeah. And in LA, I felt it like I never felt before.
LA, very true. You know, it's the old joke, but in LA, if you say, you know, hey, do you want to go out? The girl says, what's your zip code? Which means, in what neighborhood do you live? And if you say, she can tell whether you have money or whether you have no money. And so she'll say yes or no based on either what kind of car you drive or what house you live in, you know? I'm sure it's not true of all of them, but a lot of them.
I have my question. Do you think there are other communities as yours in America which we could trade tribe, as you said?
Like ours, maybe not, but you know, there are groups that sprung up that I've had the pleasure to hang out with as a nature of, you know, and I'm sure we don't have time to really get into a lot of that, but Operation Werewolf was an organization that I had started or was a project that I had started to almost act as a starter kit for other people to do what we were doing, not to join us necessarily, but to do like we had done. And a lot of little groups sprung up, and in Europe as well, that were Operation Werewolf affiliated groups that were structured very similarly to ours, that lived a lifestyle very similar to ours. And I had the opportunity to visit a lot of them, both in Europe and in the United States, which effectively meant me like driving around the country getting beat up and lifting weights with guys, you know, and like fighting and grappling and stuff with them. And it was a great time. And I met a lot of great people. But a lot of those organizations and those groups dissolved because I think they didn't have the staying power or they didn't understand how hard it is.
Question, sorry, when you say beat up, it was through training?
Yeah. Not like in a hostile way, but just to go and you know, you box with them. And
yeah.
I'm not a great boxer, and a lot of them are boxers. And so,
okay, so in a nice way with bros.
Yeah, of course. You know, although a couple times, a couple times you get somewhere and you realize you don't get along with these people at all, and sometimes shit happens. But there are a couple of groups here that are similar to ours who we still spend time with, but not a lot. You know, there's motorcycle culture and motorcycle clubs that we have friendly associations with, outlaw clubs and stuff like that, that we hang out with, but we don't have the same goals. We don't have the same objectives. And so we can hang out friendly and talk about bikes and ride bikes together and stuff. But it's like each one of these groups for us is kind of missing a critical piece. They're focused on motorcycles, but they don't have any interest in making money or developing culture or building or owning property or whatever. Or maybe they're interested in marketing and stuff, but maybe they're too square, like too normal for when you come out to hang out with the wolves. A lot of people are like, oh, fuck, this is too much, too wild, you know? And so, yeah, you know, we don't associate really with a lot of other groups. It's like you said before, I hang out mostly with just the guys in my crew.
I got that. Makes sense. I understand.
But we are always looking and we're always hopeful to find people who are doing something interesting and valuable, which is, like I said, it's why I reached out to you and said, hey, I would like to talk to you because I find what you're fascinating, you know?
Yeah, we're in the same position, and there is a question that I will comment. Walter, he asked, does Paul encounter difficulties with another US influencers or US groups who share his vision like you? It's me. I face some trouble. I try to partnership with other communities, or not communities, but other leaders of influence, let's say. And on the public view, we speak in a similar way. The difference is I take action, and they just, they don't, like, they speak about analysis, and they don't want to partner with me at any point, and they don't even, they will not tell me why. Never. I know why, but...
Oh, why? I mean, you know...
And do you face the same trouble, basically? That's the question.
You know, there's... It's crazy enough here now that friends of mine, guys that I've worked with who are not in my organization, really, really good friends, though, who are business owners or who run gyms and stuff like this, by nature of being in a photograph with me, have lost business, have lost businesses, have actually lost their physical businesses in some cases, which shows you the nature of how crazy the world is that to be in a photograph with someone, these fucking scumbag parasites say that if you're in a photo with someone, it means that you tacitly approve of everything that they believe or say or do, which is, of course, not true. I happen to be in the same room, or perhaps we came together on an idea or project or whatever. But so by nature of being in a photograph with a guy who's in the wolves, especially me or my brother Matthias or some of the more publicly known guys here, you are likely to get doxxed. You're likely to have problems with your business. You're likely to have these people call your job, your family, whatever. And because of this, it creates a fear in people because they don't want to be seen publicly to affiliate or to associate with you, even though in private, they'll send you messages, say, hey, I loved your book. I loved your video on this. They maybe even support you, but they are afraid to publicly associate with you because of what people might think. And honestly, it's hard for me to, in some cases, have an issue with that, because I understand that if they do that, they don't owe me anything. But in order to appear publicly with me or whatever, they may lose a lot of business. They might lose a lot of money. And because they don't owe me anything, I understand their hesitation. I do. You know, it's a fucked up world, and it's crazy to say that, you know, if you even have a guy on your podcast, you might get your podcast shut down. You know, and so I understand their hesitancy, but I also can't love it. I can't really respect it. I think if you are someone and you do believe in something, that to not say it, or to be afraid to say it or speak your mind, creates fear around you as well. And it creates a culture of people not speaking their mind and saying what they believe. And that creates a culture of fear and silence. And I think that's one of the reasons why these people largely are winning worldwide, is because even though a lot of people agree with us, they're afraid to agree with us. And they're afraid to agree with us because right now we don't have the power, as it were. We don't have tech. We don't have the platforms. We don't have this and that. And so people are afraid. I understand their fear, but I'm so far past that shit. I've been doxxed so many times. You know, I've had my home address put out 1 million times. Still no takers. I live in a gun state with a fucking really good laws. So you know, I don't worry about this kind of stuff. But I think for a lot of people, it's a scary idea to say, well, if I'm in a photo with this guy, I might lose my job, and I might have people try to fucking bomb my house or some shit. You know.
For the ones from my community who don't know what doxed mean, it means when your public enemies, they will put all your information, address, name of your people, where you work, all the information, they will put it public in order for people to fuck with you.
They actively call in. They'll get 300 people to call into your job and say, hey, you're employing a neo-Nazi, or whatever fucking word they want to try to use. They'll call, they will dig. They will find everyone that you are affiliated with and associated with, and they will call them, and they will try to get them to do this shit, and they pressure them. And they'll be like, you know, if you guys continue to associate with this person, they'll say crazy shit. They'll say, we'll firebomb your business. Because like calling in bomb threats and shit shuts shit down. You know, they do this at shows, at clubs. Like I have a lot of friends still in black metal bands from Europe and stuff, and they'll get their shows shut down. They'll get their whole tour shut down in America because a couple hundred like Antifa guys will call the venues and they'll say, look, I don't care if you still want to have the show here. We will call in a bomb threat to the police and the police will shut the show down because they can't not take the threat seriously. So they're very active right now in these backwards ways and these underhanded ways. And because they are, and because so many people are afraid of this, yeah, it's difficult to combat, you know?
I'll tell you my position on that. I'm fine with some guy who are public and have a lot of audience who cannot publicly partner with us because the consequences will be too big. In France, for example, some of the guys they could be in jail just for partnership with me.
Yeah.
And me, I can't go back to my country for a while already. So I can understand that, but I expect this guy to tell it to me in private. When I told them in private, when they call me and they approve with what I do, they say that they love what I do, blah blah blah. They support me. They don't tell me that they won't work with me. So I had few guys like this who just cheer me up a lot and then ghost me.
They waste your fucking time.
Yeah, they didn't say no. You know, I'm not crazy. They can tell me no for this and this reason, and I will take it with respect, and I won't push it. I will understand. I'm fine. I cannot force people. But no, I had this with American influencer too. I talked with few of them, some kind of big ones, and they just told me they love my project, I'm doing the right thing and stuff. And then we had some agreement to meet for some specific things. They ghosted me. And I was like, what? The same shit than in France. And that's why I started to be international, because I was tired to see this shit with the French leaders. And I expected something better, you know, from outside. No, the same shit always, everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. And yeah, I mean, I've definitely experienced it. And in some ways, you know, my heart goes out to some of these guys who have associated with me and who have had their lives fucked up by it. One of my dear friends who's up in New York this is a guy who had a contract with Rogue, the producer of fitness equipment. He had a contract with the UFC to produce fitness equipment for them. Big shit, all gone. You know, and I feel for him, but because he is an individual who is hyper loyal and who stands by his actions, you know, I tell him sometimes, I'm like, man, you must regret having ever decided to like be friends with me. And he says, what's the regret? It's money. It sucks, but like, it doesn't make me wish I'd never met you or become your friend. You know what I mean? And that's real loyalty, you know, and loyalty, you don't know real loyalty unless bad shit has happened. Loyalty is only tested by conflict, you know? And so that's the only kind of guys that I have respect for, is they've been through hardship to continue to associate with you. That's something worth respecting, you know, that's a real friendship.
And there is the other thing. So I told you that for now, from the very beginning, I tell the guy that I'm tired of bitches. And this is what I told you when we talk. We had our first talk. From the first second, I was like, please don't be a bitch. Like, I'm tired. I cannot deal with it anymore. It was kind of funny. Yeah. and I was real at this moment. I was like, I'm too tired about this. And the second thing is to protect myself and my people by, as you say, having our own value, own community, own social validation by our own people, and to move in a place where we're not fucked. I mean, of course, we're French nationalists. So imagine, we are very attached to the French territory, extremely attached to the culture, to the architecture, to the land. But we lost it. Like, clearly, we lost it. We lost power on our territory. So we had the choice, is to live as a slave on our territory. So yes, it's our place, but we're fucked. Or to go in a place which is not ours, because no, we are just guests, sure. But at least we are free, and we can live with our standards, and no one can do shit to us. And at the end of the day, freedom matter more for us.
Yeah, and I think that's important. You know, groups like ours exist largely by the largesse of the governments under which we live. I don't have any illusions about the idea that if the U.S. government decided that our group would not exist anymore, It probably would not. You can. What are you going to do? You can be imprisoned at any time. You can be, they can make you disappear at any time. They can trump up shit. They can raid your house. They can, they can tell people, oh, the big thing over here is when they raid people, it's always the same shit. It's always, we found this in the house, we found that in the house, and it's always either like Nazi shit or like, who's to say if they wanted to, they couldn't just say, oh, everyone has child porn on their, on their shit. You know what I mean? Like discredit you, assassinate your character, and all the rest. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And so, I understand you guys and why you did what you did. It's either live with some sense of ability and freedom and do what we want here, or be here and have our lives completely enveloped by this fucking chaos, not to mention to be in a place where people fucking hate you, where your own country hates you. Why? Why not move? So I understand.
And I know you're very attached to your land too, so your guys are, and you're attached to your Harley Davidson, and it seems complicated to bring it in a luggage. But at one point, if it becomes dangerous for you and your community just to live in America, if the government decide to shut you down and to bring some of you in jail, I hope you will be emotionally detached enough to say goodbye to your beautiful bike and to get the fuck out. We will welcome you, but
appreciate it. And I think that our guys in our organization, I think that there is a kind of U.S. patriotism where people over here have this weird false sense of America. They have the American flag, and to them it means like, blondes with big tits and, jean cutoff shorts and, guns and whiskey and whatever. And there are parts of America that are like that. But that's not what America is. America is the same shithole as anywhere. It's the same, ideas of false equality and the mayhem that you guys are seeing on TV over here with all the riots and all the rest of this kind of stuff. That's America. It's not freedom and big tits and guns and all that. That's disappearing. That's largely a thing of the past in a lot of areas, because that's not what is wanted over here. It's not what's desired over here by the powers that be. And so we are not American patriots. We are not American nationalists, because to have nationalism in a place the size of America and a place that was always a mixing pot, I understand people who are nationalists over here, but it's like, I understand it a lot better if I was Swedish. It's like I share the language, I share the culture, I share the art, I share thousands of years of history with people just like me. And now all of a sudden, there is a shitload of people here from the Middle East, and it doesn't go well together. It doesn't make any sense culturally. Where in America, it's kind of been this way for a really long time. You know what I mean?
yes,
So I understand to be a nationalist in a small European country, but in America, guys who have this false patriotism, I don't think they understand what America really is. America is a corporation. America is a business. And if these guys who believe it's anything else, I think are very delusional.
I see your point. Not being an American, I won't take position on this precise point, but it makes sense. I understand.
There are things to love about America and being in America. There is certainly, like, compared to some places in Europe, like I have guns, I'm able to shoot firearms. I'm able to carry legally a firearm anywhere I want to in my state. But like, not every state, right? So the United States is broken up into all these different places. They all have their own laws. Federal law exists over all of those laws, but state to state, I could have a pistol on me in Virginia and it's totally legal, and I cross the border into another state and it's a felony charge. So it's crazy over here,
I see. We're together for 1 hour 30 minutes. I think I'm very happy you took the time. And it was a first step in order for my community to get to know you and to digest what they listened today, and for each other also to think about what could we trade. I will develop the idea in private with you. I'm very thankful you took the time. What time is it at your place now?
It's 10:30 in the morning, and
Okay.
in 30 minutes I've got another 3 hours of jiu-jitsu to do. So good timing.
Okay, perfect. So thank you again. Any word you want to give for the end?
just that I think what you guys are doing is really valuable, and obviously, you want to be in an organization like with someone who has intelligence and who has savvy and who can increase resources. Obviously, you're an individual who can do that, and so I just want to say I appreciate what you're doing, and I think that that it's necessary now more than it ever has been to be able to clan together and come together with people who think the same and who desire the same things. And so I think that those of you guys who are in Jean-Marie's community, I think that this is a guy with a lot of good ideas and a lot of good stuff going on, and I hope you don't quit. I hope you understand that this is an endurance challenge, that it's like running a marathon, and so you have to endure over a lot of bumps. And a lot of the times people will look at the little issues and the little problems and they will only focus on those things. But I think you guys should focus really hard over the coming years on the things that you are doing correctly and the things that are worth pursuing in this, because any organization will have big problems and big bumps in the road. That's not a reason to quit. It's a reason to endure and to see that through. So I'm really excited to see what you guys do with your community in the coming couple years, because that will tell what it really is whether it has staying power or not. And I think it will, and I hope it does.
Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate. I can tell you about the endurance that the good thing is at the point where I am, to quit become dangerous. I have no choice.
There you go.
I keep going or I die. This is how I feel. And that's fine. I don't go because I'm afraid. But I know that if I stop, I'm fucked. No, I go because I love.
An object in motion stays in motion, so just stay in motion.
Yeah, always. And I encourage my guy to listen Aesthetic podcast. I will keep sharing it in my private Telegram channel. It's a good way to learn English. You have a nice way to talk, and you share a deep and meaningful message. I want to share it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, and thank you guys for checking it out.
My big pleasure. See you, Paul. I will stay with my guys. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, it was our first time with an American guest. The guy is special, okay? It's very difficult to find an American man like this. He's leader of a community. He has a very similar view as we have. It's a mix of love, manliness, organization, like his structure, mentally structure. He has a life experience. He's a guy from reality. It's not a guy from screen. When you meet such a guy in reality, these are the same. Just as me. I was a street performer, so now I have some charisma in front of camera, but in real life, when you will meet me, the one who didn't meet me yet, you will see that, yeah, in real life I do have charisma too, because I'm used to face hundreds of people and to take control of the situation. It's not the same with most of the famous guy you meet. Famous guy on YouTube. They look charismatic because they have 1 million subscribers and they do a lot of views on their videos. But when you meet these guys in real life, you're like, fuck, they don't have it. They don't have charisma. They don't have this sense of timing. And they don't have this willpower. It's in the words. It's in the eyes. You see that in real life, the show is over. But a guy like this, Paul, I'm pretty sure when the camera is off, the show is not over. Paul is Paul. Simple as that. And when the camera off, for me, I do more because in front of the camera, I will not put myself in danger by showing everything. So I see your message, guys, for Paul. I see you're grateful and that you understood the quality of the discussion. It was very nice, very, very nice. I'm super happy about this guest. I don't know if you have any question, but as you can see, that's the reason why we talk in English. Here is the first time that we connect with another community. Now it was just the leader. But behind the leader, there are humans. There are humans with who you will be able to collaborate. And they're not just business partners. They are guys who share a lot of your values. There are out there some other communities, not only his. It's rare. It's very difficult to find, believe me. I'm searching for 4 months already. And he's the only guy I found for now. The only one. I found some other guys, but when I listen to the content, I'm like, no. I cannot talk to equal with them. They're still just here for the money or for little things like that. It's good for them, I don't blame them, but it's not this level. Paul is another level, I can feel it. And there are some guys that I believe had the level, and no, they were little bitches. Really, you will hate them. You will hate how hypocrite they were, telling me so much nice things and then ghosting me just like little girls. So Populus asked me, do you think that influencers like the Golden One could participate in a live show of our community? I see with the Golden One, I don't know yet his content. I would need to listen and connect with him. And if it's good, and if there are good people behind him, with big pleasure. We need to talk in English to connect with these people. And we need to talk in English to connect with not even community, but professional networks in Eastern Europe, or professional networks all over the world. And we need that. I mean, if we are not able to target the international market or to partner, even, to target, it means to find customers abroad, not only in France. Okay, that's the thing. But not only that, we need to find partners, which mean freelancers, employers, whatever, abroad. Not only customer, you understand? And for that, we need to speak English. And we need also to exist as an international community. We need content in English. We need videos as the one we just did. We need a training program in English. We need all of that in English. So I will keep doing it, but now it's kind of done. I mean, I start to have enough content in English. The community is English friendly enough. So maybe I will go back to do a little bit more content in French just to please you. Why not? But I will do the both. I will do the both a little bit, and I will also push people from the community to express themselves. I want DBL to be independent from me. I don't want it to rely only on my presence. I don't have to do the live show every week as I used to do. I don't see any more comments. I don't know if the chat is dead because of a technical trouble, or if you're silent, guys. It looks strange. But guys, it's time to say goodbye. So I hope you had a good time. I did. I was a little bit tired because yesterday already had a live show with Piero San Giorgio. But it's okay. I could deal with it. And I had a girlfriend this morning, so yeah, a little bit tired. Okay, yeah, the chat is working. So I see you guys, and I wish you goodbye. I just wait for the goodbye message. There's always a little delay. Okay, I see. Alexander, tell me bye, JM. Thanks for the live. Thank you for your presence. I saw you in the chat, very active. Alexander from the third generation is saying goodbye, JM. Guillaume, bye, guys. Olivier, goodbye. Alex, goodbye. Tim, bye, JM. Thank you. Janice, we are here. We are silent. Goodbye. And thank you, Jean-Marie. Okay, goodbye, bro. Fabien, goodbye. Thanks for the live, JM. Antoine, very good live. Bye-bye, guys. Keep going. Matt, thank you. Good rest. Christian, thank you so much, JM. Matthew, thank you so much for this live. Okay, I see your messages, guys. There are a few others. Thanks, guys. It was great to be with you. Thank you to Olivier for dressing me so well. I feel good. It's really nice to have tailored clothes. It's comfortable. It's beautiful. And Paul liked it before we started the live show. He told me that once a month with this community, they dress sharp, so they dress as we do with costumes, and they meet together and they walk in the street dressed like this, and they go for a whiskey, cigar, whatever, for a talk with men. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.